Welcome to the Maritime Executives podcast series, In the Know. I'm Tony Munoz, Editor-in-Chief. Our Executive Corner podcast will provide conversations with top executives concerning events and issues that are shaping our industry today. We will also bring you up to speed with the latest news and editorials covered by the Maritime Executive.
Well, welcome to the Maritime Executive Magazine's podcast series, In the Know. I'm Paul Benecki, and today I'm joined by Matt Miller, the Marine Industry Principal at AVEVA, a global leader in industrial software for all kinds of industries, including offshore and marine. Matt, welcome to the show. And just to kick things off, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you get started with AVEVA?
Sure. Hey, Paul, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I come via an acquisition, OSI Soft. I spent 10 years as the transportation industry principal there, and worked with a large number of marine operators, mostly on the fleet operations side, which was great. Got to get my hands involved with marine operations and help drive efficiency across the fleets. And after joining AVEVA, I decided to join the marine team and deal with the whole scope end to end. Kind of joining a 50-year heritage in the ship design and build segment. So it was a great opportunity for us to kind of build a joint vision to kind of bring together all that stuff. That was a lot of fun. So before that, I was an electrical engineer. I spent most of my years in computer-based controls and automation. So I kind of come from the computer side of things. So it's been really natural for me to follow on with enterprise data and AI and analytics and all that good stuff. Been a great run.
Sounds like a great career. So for those of us who might not be familiar with AVEVA, can you give us a quick rundown on the company and what it does?
Sure. Yeah. So AVEVA focuses primarily on industrial customers in a wide range of segments, about 20 or 30 different industries. As you said, marine is one of our core industries. We've been in that segment for 5 decades. AVEVA actually was founded in that segment. The name actually, although we've acquired a number of different companies, it was originally in the maritime segment. So fantastic to have that heritage. Developed CAD in the late 60s, early 70s, and really had focused that even early on in the ship design category. Expanded that considerably with the acquisition of Tribon some 25 years ago, which was an industry-leading package in its own right. Really known for productivity into shipbuilding. Since then, we've continued to expand, through different acquisitions and different developments across the segment. So in the ship design and in the shipbuilding, and as I mentioned, I kind of brought the operations piece in. So today we do design, build, operate, and optimize across the whole chain from ship design, build, ship operations, even into port operations. So we do quite a bit in wet and dry bulk as well as container port operations as well. The whole maritime value chain. Yeah.
Great.
So we're a large, I would say medium to large size company, software company. We got about 55 offices and about almost 7,000 employees globally. So, and today we're 100% owned by Schneider Electric, which helps with some of the programs that we work on in the category. We run completely independent as an agnostic standalone software company, but work with them, particularly on the energy side, the energy reduction side. That's us.
Great. Well, that's a huge enterprise, and it sounds like you guys provide a lot of benefits to Marines, so that's fantastic. So you also work a lot on the operational side, as you mentioned. Can you tell us a little bit about your Connect platform and what makes it different from other services out there that people might use for operations?
Yeah. So Connect is really our attempt to drive radical collaboration across the entire space. So the cloud is a wonderful tool for collaboration. But what we're trying to do is infuse our industrial knowledge into delivering through the cloud. So it's a cloud-based platform. It's based on one of the hyperscaler platforms. We're not ground up, but it really focuses on filling the gap of the industrial knowledge into delivering on that capability. So all of our tools really deal with foundational capabilities that industrial companies need. And so we've plumbed and wired Connect to take care of all that heavy lifting, the security and all the components and the context and all the work that goes into that, just to now enable people to kind of turn on this capability and collaborate, whether it's on the engineering side, collaborating across between OEMs and vendors, even between designers across the globe, whether it's on the operations side, being able to share real-time data between a fleet operator and its OEM, between the fleet operator and a port, between all the different stakeholders, classification societies and other JVs and flag states. So it's just an open way to be able to securely share data that our data infrastructure allows them to span. Just adding that tool in the toolbox, if you will. Today, it's really becoming absolutely critical to collaborate to drive to some of the new goals that the industry has for on-time delivery, for cost, for resilience, for sustainability, all this different stuff that you need to do. Nobody can do that in a vacuum, right? We have to collaborate. We have to work together, and we have to work together in wildly different ways than we have traditionally to meet our new goals, and that's really what Connect does.
Well, it sounds like a fabulous tool for industry right now. Can you give us a few case studies of how it's helped ship owners save money and advance their goals?
Well, I would say there's kind of two different buckets. On the design side, are trying to dramatically shift. So as the new sustainability goals and new goals come into play, and more people get involved, they need to be able to as I said, collaborate in new ways. So being able to share data, engineering data. So you may buy a licensed design from, let's say, over an Asian licensed design and have it built in a local yard, or vice versa. Or you may modify it to use some core characteristics that you have. Dancing around a little bit because some of this stuff isn't public, so I'm careful to use only the stuff that's in the public domain. But just giving some rough examples. So from the engineering side, being able to do handovers in offshore, particularly, which are very common in offshore, but not so common in the merchant marine side. So being able to share that data, between different constituents. And then on the operations side, we have companies who have won significant grants to be able to optimize their fleets. And they're doing that by taking the fleet data they have, pushing it into Connect, and liberating that for special analytics companies. We've got a company, Canada Steamship Line. They won a supercluster grant in Canada to drive some new AI algorithms for operational resilience. And one of our partners is writing all that AI componentry, and we're leveraging that. It's actually C-SPAN and CSL are both part of that program, and they're leveraging the Connect platform to do that, right? Because it's an open and agnostic way for them to drive that takes care of a lot of basic problems. Those are kind of on the operations side, and then on the engineering side, again, more on the licensing. How do I get a 3D model from one place to another, expand, elaborate on that model, and then take that model and get it class certified and get it pushed to a yard for production. So using it in that regard too.
So that sounds like it really boosts efficiency for collaboration and probably is a lot faster than just communicating by email, sending spreadsheets back and forth, that sort of thing. Can Connect also help optimize for compliance requirements, like for Fuel EU Maritime?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of what we're doing on the operation side is collecting all that data, creating all the carbon intensity and indexing reports, and providing the high level forensics that allow people to understand what they can do better into the future, and what to do better now, rather than much like you get your energy bill and you're like, oh, I spent too much energy last month, but there's nothing you can do about it last month, right? So notifying them in real time to take corrective action to enable that to happen. Once you're kind of creating that reporting, or you want to be able to share that data with maybe experts. Hey, I have this situation. I don't know what to do about it, right? And I want to be able to share that with class, or with experts around the globe, maybe even universities, to be able to try new experimental approaches. Want to share it with the OEMs, right? Particularly the engine and power producers. Yeah, power OEMs have fantastic programs around how to optimize, right? They're the experts in their equipment. Same thing with water, ballast water, and other types of equipment. Getting that data to them, getting their insights and saying, well, try this, try that, right? And being able to, again, collaborate to be able to find new strategies to drive better and better performance is really key. And you can do it again in real time without you having to wait to the end of the month to see what worked and what didn't, right? You can do this and take corrective action. You don't have to deal with that old, the water bill was too high, but nothing I can do about it now.
That's really exciting. I mean, that's beyond just optimizing one ship's operation or fleet's operation internally with what the crew does or what the owner does. It allows you to expand that process out to every other stakeholder that has something going on the ship. That's really cool. And I'm sure
Yeah.
that yields great results.
Yeah, and in fact, when you get those insights, we have the tooling to allow you to apply that to the rest of the fleet, or you can templatize that and then quickly roll it out in a few moments. To be able, once you have that aha moment, as we call it, to be able to take that insight and then convert that into action across the whole fleet, right? That's really the power of it.
That's really cool. So how big of a role does AI and analytics play in all of this and in helping ship owners out?
Oh man, nothing like AI has dominated the psyche, I think, in the realm of possibility, right? I think it lights up all kinds of imagination for people as to what could be. Um, Foundationally, AI is really a new type of analytics that has some of the same constraints as other analytics, right? You still have to deal with garbage in and garbage out. So, building a strong foundation of data, being able to build on data quality and understanding the core metrics, and then layering that in with what we'll call non-structured data, right? So we like to bring structured and non-structured data into a global knowledge base that people can use. AI is really, really good at dealing with unstructured data, but when you combine it with structured data, it becomes wildly more powerful, right? Because now you have real facts that you can kind of gauge and start to apply tribal knowledge. If you think about the maritime industry, we have been relying on observational knowledge for hundreds, if not thousands of years, right? Putting it in logs, um, which has served the industry really well. But as we get into this new age of AI, we need to be able to have other types of empirical data to be able to drive some of these new analytics and insights in a more controlled way to remove false positives out of that basis. AI is a wonderful tool, but if you feed it with data that's not right, you're going to get recommendations that are not right. Right? You don't have the opportunity of scrubbing out data that is incorrect. It just understands its whole body of knowledge and leverages that, good and bad. So having the right tools to be able to industrialize that, build on that core, then build a strong layer of analytics that can be actionable from the get-go. Now you've set a foundation for AI to be an incredibly powerful tool. We've been working at not only that piece, but also bringing together these different model bases, right? The other pieces together, which again adds another complexity.
Yeah, I'm sure some of those data quality issues will be familiar to users of ChatGPT or any other model, right? That if it goes into a subject area that it doesn't actually have much information on or has poor quality information on, suddenly you start getting results that are subpar or, don't even really exist, right? They're
Or
just false.
or flat out wrong. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
The other challenge in applying this technology to data is that um, operators can't, and a lot of times it's not even legal for them to do, to put all of their data up into a generic cloud to become part of an entire populace base. So when we apply AI, we have to apply it in a way that allows customers to use this fabulous technology, but only on their data. Right, so that data is private to them. It deals with all the privacy issues, and as well as respects the potential IP that might be embedded in that data. So we're leveraging this wonderful new technology, but doing it in a way that industrial clients need to be able to consume it. You can't put this data in ChatGPT, for example. It would break a lot of sometimes even laws, right? Privacy laws, and certainly it's bad practice. So we have to be able to apply that technology in a way that allows customers to use it on their own data, and then build more and more sophisticated models and bases, and use different components driving into the big digital twin ideas, right? Some of that stuff.
And is it maybe fair to say that a company with a lot of experience with industrial data and IP and data security is really well positioned to help in this way, maybe in a way that some startups that don't have experience in that realm might not be?
No, that I think that's true. And digital maturity kind of spans the gamut in this industry, right? So you've got, generally speaking, the maritime industry isn't as digitally mature as, let's say, like oil and gas industry or the chemical industry or the pharmaceutical industry, for example. Um, but that doesn't mean that there are significant pockets of very digitally mature companies. Certainly in the transportation logistics, that are world renowned, the FedExes and UPSs of the world, and some of the logistics companies, but also companies like Maersk and others who have been on this journey for a long time and invested a lot to make it happen. Um, but in general, we still have a long, long way to go, really. There's still a huge gap from where, to meet the goals and being able to leveraging this technology to apply it. Some legacy gaps, in the space. So for small companies, it's a big jump. It's a lot to be able to try and take on. And we work with a lot of mid-sized companies that want to own and control their own destiny, want to be able to innovate, and working with larger companies who want to do more than and some of the broader concepts of integrating digital twins and some of that stuff, which is even a significant investment for the capabilities they have, right? So even ones that have been working on this for generations, as you get into some of these profound concepts, we have spent thousands of man hours on some of these capabilities that now we can offer to the market and leverage across the entire industry base. So we're hoping that makes an impact and helps customers move forward quickly.
Sure. That sounds really useful. And maybe especially for companies that aren't as sophisticated at dealing with some of these issues. You've already got the knowledge, you can help them out with it.
Yeah, I would say there's probably a line in the sand too because of the tooling. There are offers in the market that are kind of one-stop shop service companies. They'll come in and do everything for you. And I think there's going to be a space, at least in the short term, for some of the really small companies who don't even necessarily have the confidence to drive their own destiny, their own digital destiny for customers in those segments, right? We do kind of serve customers who want to be able to leverage data to drive their own business and strategic advantages. Those are really the customers who get the most out of what we can offer because we have the flexibility built in to enable them to infuse their own business systems, their own business execution concepts and strategies into these digital systems that really compound the results for them. So those are, doesn't mean we can't work with the smaller companies, but mid and small size companies have a lot more resources and really can do things that are wildly more advantageous than off the shelf kind of carte blanche basics, I would say.
So ship owners have heard a lot about digital twins over the years, and you touched on it briefly earlier. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the state of adoption right now, what ship owners tend to get when they get a new build from a yard, and what that could look like in the future, maybe what other industries are seeing, like in oil and gas.
Yeah, great question. And I like the question partly because everybody hears of the big digital twin, right? And sometimes I'm even hesitant to even use the word. Sometimes I have to stutter or wait a minute before I use it because it's so overused. But really, if you think about a digital twin as nothing more than a model, right? A model that helps you deal with complexity. It puts things in context and allows, as things become more and more complex, you need more and more sophisticated models. It's a little like the weather, right? When it's difficult to forecast the weather without a model. In fact, we got lots of different models to give, little different slants on how to, and digital twins are like that, right? It's a model that infuses the physical capabilities, the resembles the physical world. So when we run data through it, it tells us a little more about the outcomes. We can infer a lot more and we can understand that data and understand if it's good data or bad data. And we can run simulations through it. It becomes a lot more useful, right? So as we kind of work through that, most people, when they think of a digital twin, they think of an engineering model. They think of like a homogeneous, holistic model where everything resides. That's not really how the world works today. Models are broken up. I've got business models. I've got, and even in the engineering side, I've got models for fluid simulations. I've got hydrostatic simulations. So it's like, so really what we're talking about are taking what was independent models and bringing them together in a holistic model that resembles this physical asset, and we can do and get better and better insights as we move forward. And today, the engineering models are, and the engineering data and the engineering digital twin is becoming much more sophisticated. And we're adding to that the operational pieces of it, right? We want to be able to bring real operation data. So if you think about a vessel that's been designed for a cruise size of 18, right? Well, what happens if you run it with a cruise size of 14 or 20? Like, what are the trade-offs? Like, what are my operational trade-offs? What happens if I take a dual fuel vessel that was designed for heavy fuel oil and marine gas oil, and I convert it to LNG and ammonia? I don't know, completely different things, right? Right. So those models help us to deal with the what if scenarios quickly and be able to break down that complexity, and then connect the operational piece as designed and even as built, right? And as operated, right? Now, today, those are more or less three different models. And we're working to be able to first integrate those models and over time make them a singular holistic model that may reside in the cloud. It may reside on-prem. You might have different pieces kind of distributed around, but in the end, people can use that model across that whole value chain to drive a lot more value because it's whole, it's accurate, and it's trusted. So that's kind of where the big picture is moving forward, and we still have a lot more to go. Again, I think if we look for an industry that's really done a lot more in this area, the offshore folks who really lead, they're probably a global leader on that space. Customers of ours like Yinson, which is, they've been wonderful about documenting some of their success. They have a very robust and holistic strategy that drives incredible advantages for them, both environmental advantages, business advantages, and time to market advantages, all kinds of things that they've been able to do through having such a fantastic information base to build from. But probably a topic I could talk about forever, but we'll leave it at that for the moment.
Well, that's fantastic. Can you give us some examples maybe of conventional ship owners that are starting to do that themselves or maybe thinking about it?
Yeah, so one of the challenges, particularly in the merchant marine side, that's been there is they don't get a digital handover from the yard, or certainly nothing that resembles what you might get in oil and gas. So we're working with some large operators who've taken to controlling their own design just to be able to get that, a meaningful handover. If you don't do that, you almost have to rebuild one from scratch. And that's kind of where the state of the industry is. Most people kind of look at the operations phase, create a separate model, and then try and deal with that model separately. And then it becomes a data science project to integrate data between these things, the digital threads, right? We're trying to break that down and make holistic ways to be able to do that in an open, agnostic way. That's kind of the state of the art. Every operator that I talk to struggles with that. They would love to have a holistic digital handover. Some of them, the instant it's finished with sea trials, they go right into a phase where they recreate that model. Some of them even go and have the hull scanned, so they have a hull dimension and have some realistic imagery on what they can use. Tremendous expense, tremendous inefficiency. I think as the market evolves, the shipbuilders will start to build smart ships rather than building ships and operators making them smart. And the whole pieces will start to come together. Because of that, it's been very difficult to find examples where customers do that without taking this extreme measure. And although that's happening, I'm seeing that happen more and more. It's not commonplace, and I don't know of one in the public domain that I can share with you at the moment, but there's certainly ones that are happening. Trying to think of after the fact. There's a fun use case that I like to reference. Some customers say, my fleet's too old. We were involved with you may be familiar with the Queen Mary and the reconstruction of that vessel. In doing so, we made a modern digital twin that's used extensively in its operation maintenance phase. So It's a public reference. They've been able to share a lot of what happened publicly. It's a great story. It's a wonderful feel-good story. And apparently you can go and have lunch on board, and it's being used now by the Royal Navy for training. But it's kind of a fun one in that regard, because I don't think anybody has any vessels out there older than 1933. It certainly sets a new benchmark for a modern digital twin on a legacy vessel, but that's probably a good one I can think of.
That's really cool. Might I just ask quickly what the challenges are for that digital handover? Is it an IP ownership issue? Is it the yard wants to keep a good hold on their design? Why is that not happening?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm still kind of digging to the bottom of that. I think part of it is today, from what I understand from most operators, will say that even the documentation they get is often inaccurate, right? It's incomplete or inaccurate because they don't even have a way of verifying all the data is accurate and complete when they do the handover. You get a file folder full of drawings and manuals and things. Somebody would have to sit down at that instant and try and go through and understand, or test and be able to qualify. It's just too laborious. AVEVA actually makes the tooling that does all that check down and be able to provides that handover. So for industries where they're required, we provide the tooling to make that cost effective and efficient to do. So we can do this in the industry. It's not really a technical issue. I think there isn't a standard that everybody's agreed to what's appropriate. The shipyards have to be concerned with giving away IP. They're not going to give away a 3D model. That there's tremendous amount of IP that's built into that model, not to mention thousands, if not millions, of hours of engineering that goes into that. So what should be handed over? Like, some things are pretty easy, right? The documentation and the drawings, but there should be some operationally relevant components, like a rendered model of some fidelity that allows somebody to navigate the ship, right? Because you can go and just have it scanned and create one, but really one already exists and it's accurate. That model is pretty accurate when the ship gets delivered. So but I think parsing that down and understanding what needs to be delivered is the main thing. We've been working with some of our operations customers and some of the shipyards to bridge that gap and trying to understand tactically what are those components. But ultimately, we'd like to participate in creating a standard so that, and I invite anybody who's interested to reach out. I mean, I'd love to talk to more. We've been building some of the concepts of some of the core components, what that standard could look like. There are other international standards that can be drawn from. There are, in other industries it can be built from, but there isn't a standard that is in the industry today that a new fleet owner can put in their purchase requisition and stand on, right? So because there's no standard, it's expensive to deliver, and it's a lot of negotiation on the technical details, and there'd be no way of verifying that they got what they wanted at the end anyway, because the tools aren't in place. So there's a bunch of challenges in there, but we're hoping to be able to break that down, because without it, I think it's going to really limit what operators can do out of the get-go and really hobble their ability to take advantage of some of that important insight. And ship designers won't be able to necessarily take the data from operations and quickly turn that back into insights on the engineering side, being able to run it back through those models as well. So we see benefits on both sides. We just need to sort out the details.
Well, it sounds like there's some exciting potential there for collaboration if some of the coordination can be worked out between the two parties.
We're hoping.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing how that unfolds in the years ahead.
Me too.
Well, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. This has been really insightful, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with our readers.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate the time.
All right, take care.